Ever feel like you're doing everything and still stuck in the same place? It's not you, right? The truth is, you probably just built your business on the wrong foundation. You're solving the wrong problems, focusing on chasing all the tactics, and still wondering why it feels like you're fighting this constant uphill battle. I've been there, most of my clients were there until we made this one critical shift, right? We built a real framework that really allows them to thrive around their business, focusing on something simple, duplicatable, and profitable, right? And that's what I want to walk you through on this video today. What's going on? My name is Justice Severin. I am here running the show for you today. As you know, this channel here is for coaches and creators who are looking to build a wildly profitable business. That is something that I've been fortunate to be able to leave my 9-to-5 accounting job 5 years ago. And the reality is I just keep on building things that I just am surprised with as things go on. But at the same time, at the root of all of them are a strong foundation. And it's the same thing that's allowed me to get my coaching offer out there and sell like crazy for years now. And so I want to go ahead and really get into the meat and potatoes, what can help you do the same for your business, right? Whether you're selling a service offer, digital product, whatever the case may be, we got to get you focused on the right things. All right. So if you're new to the channel, absolutely comment new down below. Would love to see my new viewers here. And of course, if you're returning, once, like I always say, it must mean you like this stuff, okay? So make sure you click that subscribe button. Make sure you get notified every time I drop a new one. I'm dropping a new video every single Wednesday at 4 p.m., all right? I've been doing Wednesday videos at 4 p.m. for years now. Every Wednesday, specifically for like 3-4 years. I think 4 p.m. it's been this way for maybe about a year or two. But regardless, I'm here dropping the knowledge for you. And I want to make sure that today is no different, all right? So as we get into today's topic as well, let me know what niche your offer is in below. I'd love to see where you're at, and let me know if there's one problem you feel like with why it's not selling. What do you feel like is your biggest challenge below when it comes to selling? I respond to all my comments. I'll make sure to drop you some feedback based off of that. But as we dive in today, I know it's going to open up some light bulbs as well too here as well. So I'm thinking we should probably just go ahead and jump right in if that's cool with you. All right, so number one out the gates. Most coaches and creators, they believe that the problem is them, right? They think that they are the problem. And really, when it comes to that mentality, a lot of them are thinking, well, you know what? Since I'm the problem, well, I need to just start really finding a plethora of, I need more time, I need more tactics. But in my eyes, they're just constantly misdiagnosing the problem. Misdiagnosing the problem, because really what they actually need, to be honest with you, and really this has just come from my gut experience, just the things that I've seen after years in this industry, is they need one clear framework, right? One clear framework, right? They need to focus on fast action, that really, not just fast action, but really fast execution, with an emphasis on clarity without complexity. A lot of the times I focus on these 3 C's here. You want to be clever over clear, clear over confusion. The emphasis I want to have you there is just really the clear piece in the middle. You can forget being clever and just focus on the clear and you'll be fine. It's the people who are super clear on the message and they can find something that's clever that still is extremely clear with what the end goal is for them inside of the business. That's why I say clear over clever, clever over clear, clear over confusion. The last thing we want is confusion, and we need to make sure it's clear, arguably over everything. It's just once you can start to get really slick and get your messaging dialed in, it gets you a bit creative, test certain things, whether it's organically with ads, and you can really now start to bring that cleverness into play to really just help allow you to stand up from the crowd that much more too. But obviously, more than anything, you need a strong message and you need a strong product to really build your message off of. And all these pieces here are just going to make it that much easier for you if you can just focus on that one clear framework to make it happen. All right. Even for myself, as we even start to think back here, probably for about the first month and a half, I want to say, back when I was getting started, and really I was struggling probably for 3 months, and then I basically got my first ever one-to-one coach back then. We're talking back early 2020, right? And then at that point, went ahead, got my first one-to-one coach, and I actually heard no's for about a month and a half, right? So I'm out here selling my first high-ticket offer, and really just hearing no's. No, 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 right? And it's painful, it's tough, but at the same time, it was really, I want to say it was after a month and a half to 2 months after that, I really, once again, literally hit my first ever 15K month, right? So let's take a step back. I heard no's over and over again for 6 weeks. And then basically how that really transpired was then I hit my first $1,000 day, which was my first ever $1,000 month. Next month, I had $2,000 days, which was my first 2K month. The month after that, I hit my first 15K month, right? And it was really how did I actually go ahead and what changed? So yes, I was hearing no's, but at the same time, For one, I was focused on that one piece, like I mentioned, but because I was able to just get super narrow with finding the pockets that were broken. And I was able to take that and bring it back to my coach at the time and really able to fix up a lot of things with the messaging, the pitching, the pieces that were really that I kept on running into a wall against. And that's what's great when you're focused on one thing, is that it allows you to see what you keep rubbing up against, right? You can see where there's a kink in the system. You keep getting caught up at the same spot. The problem is when you're jumping all around, you never get to find out where the true kinks are. It's like you find out a kink, but the reality is it's a kink that's not really getting you anywhere. You're focused on the wrong kinks, right? It's like you have your one main tractor that you should be focused on, but you keep getting distracted by the 50 other tractors. Just go ahead and touch it, and then something breaks over there. Well, that's not your tractor. Don't worry about it. Focus on your main thing. And that's really, for me, was super helpful. And in reality here, it was like, I had 15K back then after it. Then to get up to my first ever 65K month, it really was focusing on the same mentality. It was, how can I go ahead and get super narrow by really just improving those little things, finding each kink as I got along, and then really finding the kinks that would allow me to increase my price, that would allow me to improve my reach, allow me to really get in front of more people, or at least more of the right people, to actually go ahead and scale up my offer to places that I had only dreamed of at a time, right? And it really can come back towards, once again, having that focus, having extreme clarity on what you need to really be leaning into inside of your own business, right? Because when you have that clarity on what the end goal is, I mean, here's what happens. It's really, you need to have the clarity on how to get prospects to buy your offer, right? And really, once you do that, it allows you to get super narrow and just refine from there. It allows you to get super narrow and refine the most important pieces of your sales process. Even I can think back to, I got a client of mine where really she was in I want to say she had a dry spell for about like a month and a half. No, actually, yeah, she had a dry spell for about a month and a half here, right? And when that was going on, I remember even looking at it where things were going well and then things weren't. So how can we fix that? And so the way we really fixed it was basically going back and looking at the numbers, right? We saw that, okay, here's what it looks like. I'm seeing that you're actually getting a lot of people to say like yes to wanting to take you up on your non-monetary offer. I call this a part of your execute stage. There are a lot of people who are taking you up on your non-monetary offer, but they're not actually taking the next step, right? They're saying, yes, I want to do it, but then when it comes to the next step, it's not happening, right? For this client of mine, the next step was basically to have a call booked. So, but then there's a gap there. So I'm looking, and the numbers were crazy. Like, it was like, I want to say 25 to 30% were actually taking the next step. And these are people who said, yes, I want to. They just weren't. And so now all we had to do was look and see, all right, well, what's that process? How are we going ahead and getting them to get to that next step? We literally fixed it by going ahead and basically went to kind of a more manual route compared to leveraging a piece of automation that my client was using. And that literally jumped up to have them get their next high ticket sale literally within a week after that conversation. Once you can really get in the weeds and find these pockets of, okay, what is the problem? What is really happening? And this is why I'm so big on making data-driven decisions and removing the ego from it, right? Because a lot of times we can look at the numbers and say, oh, I'm doing the right thing. It's like, what's going on? It's like, but you have to look in between the numbers. Read in between the lines to see the deeper story that's happening here. Because when you do and you get that clear eyes on it, it can really allow you to drastically adjust the next move that you make in your business to allow something impactful to happen for yourself there, right? In this case, land to your next high ticket sale when it might have taken another month or two if you kept on neglecting what was currently happening, right? And obviously, too, if you can have a coach to help kind of shine a light on this for you, if you can't see it, I mean, that can be huge as well, too. I talked about in my video last week, just the idea of like a true strategist, right? A strategist is a person who understands what to prioritize in the business, right? And you just may not be able to kind of catch it for yourself what the priorities need to be, right? Definitely a good video to check out. I'll see if I can link it somewhere for you here, too. But with that being said, that's a big one for you as you really start to lean into this as well here, right? Clarity is far more important than offer complexity. Far more important there, right? I'll give you an example here. This example I use with my students a lot. It's like, think about this, right? Think about two different offers here. You got offer A, right? Offer A is you could have and let's just say, let's start with the result. We'll flip it, right? The result of both of these offers is they're going to get you to your first, let's call it $100,000 online. Both of these offers will get you there, right? Offer A is going to be, we can get on a Zoom call every single day for the next year, and we will get you extreme clarity and make this happen, right? That's offer A. Then you have offer B, which is, hey, We can get on a Zoom call once a month, and we're going to get you extreme clarity, and we're going to get you to your goal, right? And now let's assume that, once again, hypothetically, both are going to get you to the end result. Which one would you choose? Offer A, offer B. You let me know down below in the comments. I'll tell you, for me, and I know for 99% of your audience, they are going to want offer B, right? And that just proves yet again here that it's not the stuff that matters, right? Just because you're adding on deliverables, all these things, support this, that, it's the value that they're buying. That's what they're truly buying at the end of the day. And so that's why when it comes down to your offer, a lot of people are too focused on deliverables and the fluff. It's like, we want to just make sure we can get them to that end result. And then to kind of tie it down on why offer B is what people actually want, is because the less friction we can create on the way to achieving it, the better. If I get on a Zoom call every single day, yes, I might be happy with the end result, but I'm losing my time freedom. Like, now I have this, I have a blocker in my day for a year, or my calendar every day for a year. It's like, that doesn't sound convenient. It doesn't sound like something I'm willing to part ways with. There's this ideology around the idea that people, it's not just the money that is the problem when it comes down towards, like, whether it's an objection, or more so when it comes down towards like what someone has to give up to work with you, right? Yes, let's just say you have a $2,000 program. Yes, they do have to give up the $2,000. That is the monetary piece they have to give up. But they also have to give up X amount of time per day or per week on average to implement that strategy, right? They also have to give up certain things that they want to do and replace it, right? And so this is where, is the value going to be strong enough, and is the friction going to be low enough to where it's going to allow them to want to take that next step forward with you? This is a really big piece here as well too. So you want to think about that when it comes to your offer, and especially the messaging around your offer. What kind of friction are we leaving or allowing our prospects to run up against that's potentially slowing us down? And once again, this is why the less things you can have to focus on, the easier it can be to spotlight these things, make quick adjustments, get beyond that now, find the next bottleneck, get beyond that now, find the next bottleneck, get beyond that now, rinse and repeat there for your own business. Right? To be critical when you do that here, right? And this is why, yet again, the reason you feel stuck, I would argue, is not discipline. A lot of people are motivated. A lot of people are all these things. I think a lot of the time it's misalignment with your sales process, right? I say this all the time too. It's like, in reality here, if you're not going to stay consistent with your strategy, it's useless. I think that's a lot of reason that, for at least from what I see a lot of the times, it's a good reason that a lot of people like work with me. It's because I don't pigeonhole them into one thing. I want to make it so that this is a business that you inevitably can run with for years to come. Because if you can't, I need that to happen. And let's just say, at the very least, something you can run with for 6 months. Because if you can't, then you're not going to at least gain the momentum that potentially will allow you then to step back that much more. I talk about different seasons in the business a lot of times. Sometimes you need that season of the business where you can lean all in for 6 to 12 months, and then really you're going to have a crazy effect. I mean, I went from my first 0 to 100K literally in 6 months and 8 days, right? And that, I was going hard for those first 6 months and 8 days there. And even beyond that, as you can imagine. But I was able to adjust and kind of cool things down, build more freedom into my calendar as time went on, because I had more leverage. So this is something where I really preach that you need to make sure that there is no misalignment with you and your strategy here, because I don't need you to be breaking down a week in, 2 weeks in, a month and a half in, because now you're just setting yourself up for failure in the long run, far easier than you would like, right? And this is why, yet again, it all comes back towards, if we can get the right thing dialed in and then just focus on that one, right? And this is why I'm such a big believer in the power of one. The power of one. Ask yourself, right? Where in your business are you still running like 3 different plays at the same time, hoping that one of them hits, right? Where in your business are you doing that? And I'll tell you right now, this is the reason why your business is breaking you, right? This is the reason why. Like, that part right there is why your business is breaking you, because you're split up around way too many different places, and you're not focused on where you need to be, right? So that's why we need to focus on the power of one. The power of one acts as this invisible anchor that truly fixes everything. It fixes everything because, it's like, it allows you to focus on one core offer, allows you to focus on one sales process, one visibility channel, aka one social media platform that you can double down on and go all in on. And on top of this, it's also the core of what's going to help you to avoid burnout, right? Due to lack of clarity. Because that's why, once again, if you're out here running 3 different plays, hoping that one hits, you're going to burn out inevitably. And it's going to just make it so that you can't put your foot in the gas for a long period of time. You're just using too much gas and you're stalling out, right? I need for that to not happen. Like, don't be like Jimmy, who jumps between 3 different offers, 5 different platforms, and is just stuck in a ClickFunnels black hole. Like, you don't need this for your own self and your business here. And I'll tell you what, it's like, you may be thinking, oh, well, I'm not as bad as Jimmy. Well, here's the thing. If you're focused on even just like one of those areas, but you're doubling down with 3 different plays, that's still going to mess you up. My client Brianna, she closed her first 10K month within 45 days of us starting to work together, right? And really the way this happened is because we simplified her entire system, right? She was getting dozens to like even up to 100 plus comments on a single post, right? A single video before we connected, but she wasn't getting any coaching sales, right? So really what we did was we removed all the fancy tools, stripped it back, removed the tools, removed the automation, and gave her more time back into her business to focus on the raw income producing activities that will actually generate her results. A lot of the times we think that we don't have enough time and we have to go in and install all these tools and automation into our process, when the reality is if we stop messing around and doing the wrong things, like, it doesn't take that much time to speak with and focus on your top prospects. The problem is you have a tough time of navigating who your top prospects are, right? And so once we helped her to do this, we helped her once again focus on one leveraged offer, one strong video, one core DM flow, and this changed everything for her. And just like I said, led to that first 10K month in 45 days together, right? At this point now, she's beyond 50K working together. And this is what can happen when you can start to take those right actions and stop messing with the wrong stuff, right? Is this focus front and center in a world that's trying to just pull you in every single direction, every which way, right? They're telling you that you can make money the fastest if you jump around that way, this way. But if you focus on that one thing, it can really set you up for that freedom that you're looking for, right? And really, in my eyes, this is the difference between chaos and momentum, right? The difference between chaos and momentum is just a missing system that handles sales, content, and delivery in one loop. The more you can make this whole system congruent with one another, the easier it makes it for you to really just double down, get focused on one direction, and go. And just run, go, sprint, all right? Really, like, your messaging really should be what creates the deliverables behind the offer, right? Your messaging should really be what creates the deliverables behind the offer. Too often, we try to flip it. I prefer to go ahead and have this loose idea of what it is you're actually, what your offer is going to entail, and then go hard on nailing down the marketing, the messaging for it. I say this because a lot of people do the opposite. We want to have our product that's perfect, polished, all these things here, and then we want to go ahead and market it. But here's the thing, we haven't spent any time on marketing it, and now it takes us so long to even figure that part out. I would rather figure that part out, get people bought into it, and then at that point, you can really go ahead and master the deliverables behind it. And a lot of times we think, oh, well, you know what? Like, now I feel like a fraud. I'm going ahead and just selling people on something that's not even like done or complete. Here's the thing. Like, you're thinking too big picture right now. Like, think about the reality of where you are in that example. You have no clients. So when you do get someone sold on the message and they buy from you, just that first person, people act like someone like 110,000 people are going to buy in the next 5 minutes after once you get the ball rolling. Like, that's not how it works. And so, like, technically you will have your first client, and then you can now customize the deliverable process for them, and they will enjoy that much more. And you'll be able to see what it is that people are actually wanting compared to what's stuck in your head. You've painted this false picture of what you think something's going to be like, and now you can actually work with someone and see what it is going to be, right? Get off the intangible, get in the tangible. That's going to really help you out that much more there too. I prefer to really go that route instead, right? Because like I said, people tend to latch on to, or not just people it's like when we can get people to really latch on to a method, we can now start to put together deliverables that match that. And so that's why when you've gotten clients or something, you've gotten customers from something, people are latching on to that. Now we can really build something based off the feedback that's been given, and especially what they're most excited about. Because if someone's most excited about a certain part, that's probably going to be easier for you to go ahead and bring into your marketing message. So let's focus on bringing people in, get them client results, get them excited, and now we can go back to the marketplace and, for one, brag about these results to help get you more clients, but at the same time, have the right messaging down, and it's going to make things that much more. This will allow you to win clients and repeat clients for life. like literally for life when you get this thing nailed down, right? Let me know if you're getting some value to this too down below in the comments. I'd love to hear it. And definitely hit that like button. Like I said, hit that like button here too if you're getting some value to this. I'm telling you, like this stuff it's game changer for you to start to implement into your business. And we're about to get into now some really juicy stuff. All right. So, because really, I want to get into just these kind of 3 steps on how you can implement this. And let's listen to this part. I'm putting emphasis on this. How can you implement this without burning out? That's a big piece I want you to have. I would not be able to sell my coaching offer like crazy if I had a process that was forcing me to burn out time and time again. Like, that's not going to be a recipe for success. It will be a recipe for disaster. Okay. So really, if you don't know what you're selling your audience, and this ties right back towards offer clarity. Offer clarity. Okay. So really, once again, if you don't know what you're selling, neither does your audience. So you need to go ahead and strip it back to one core promise, one transformation, and one type of buyer, right? Let your offer let your offer do this for you. This is what you want your offer to create for you. You want to create the type of content that you're making. You want your offer to create the conversations you're having, the type of conversations you're having, and you want to create the path you're sending prospects on. A lot of the times when I say this, it comes off as a bit vague, and a lot of times people they can't quite grasp it. So I want to go in the weeds just for a moment here on this. The content, it should affect the content you're creating, the conversations you're having, and the path you're sending prospects on. When you think about it like this here, the content you're creating, your content should have pieces of your offer. As I said to a client yesterday, actually, it should be sprinkled into your content. So the problem is when you don't have a good idea of what your offer is, I'm not talking about deliverables. I'm talking about like the marketing, the messaging of what your offer contains, then you can't sprinkle it into your content. And then you're not pre-selling your audience on it without even trying. This is what I do with my content consistently. I'm always sprinkling in pieces that I actually teach and help people with inside of my coaching programs to really help them and help get them pre-sold on wanting to work with me. And so you need to do that same thing. Now let's look at the conversations if we're doing this in our content. Our conversations are now based off of our content a lot of the times here, my emails, my content, and now they're asking questions about that, and which is now shaping up my conversations, and we're now talking yet again around this offer. Right? And then from there, if I think about, well, how can I go ahead and get conversations started? How can I move people around my ecosystem? I can create assets that can go ahead now and get people in front of things that have my offer sprinkled within it. That can now spark conversations that we're talking about things that are related to my offer. This is how the world can go around for you. Your unique world can go spin around day after day on autopilot for yourself in the business. And that's what a strong ecosystem can do for you, but you have to have that right offer dialed in to really make this successful. That's the kicker to really allow this to hit for you, okay? So that's the first step, right? It's just getting that offer clarity dialed in. The second step now is the sales system, the sales process, aka the buyer's journey, right? And when it comes to the buyer's journey, here's what you need. You need a consistent path to go from attention to conversion. A lot of people do a great job at getting attention. I mentioned to my client earlier where she was doing a fantastic job of getting attention, hundreds of comments on a single post. But the conversion piece is what was missing, right? Then from there, it's important to not deviate from it long enough for a long enough time where, here's the thing, so you can actually figure out where the bottlenecks are. This is why I talk about the power of one. If we keep on jumping around from one thing to the next, we're never going to figure out where the bottlenecks are because we keep on deviating from the game plan. We don't stick with something long enough to continuously get beyond one bottleneck so we can make progress, find another bottleneck. You are going to always run into bottlenecks. Always. Because things are always changing, and not just changing within your process, but changing within social media platforms, changing within things that are out of your control. So we need to always be focusing on this one core path that can allow you to now get beyond those bottlenecks until you inevitably start making sales and inevitably start scaling the business beyond something you ever imagined. Right? And this goes right back to something that I've always loved the saying here. I don't know who said it first, but really it's you've got to know where the bodies are buried, right? And too often I see people either give up or delegate something too soon before they actually know where the bodies are buried, right? And really what do I mean when I say that? They delegate or they give up something too soon before they know what problems are to be expected in that particular part of the business. If you go ahead and let's just say, especially if you're delegating to someone else to do a certain task, or you're delegating to someone like you haven't even done it yourself, but you're delegating to them, you don't know what issues are to be expected, right? You don't, and like, so now all you have is like their word. And I don't want to say like, we don't trust this person, whatever the case is, but like you are the expert. You know what should be expected of this. And if you haven't actually done it yourself long enough, then you're not going to be able to have the right information. And now you could just be satisfied with an incomplete job done. And so that's why the more you can just focus on this one direction, it can allow you to stay on it long enough where you don't deviate and you know what you start to understand where the bodies are buried, so that now you can know what bottlenecks would be expected and what bottlenecks in a sense are like unacceptable if you've gone ahead and delegated this and so far and so forth, right? So that's how I want you to think about this, is focusing on the one path and really long enough to the point where, like I said, you are now either not delegating it too soon or you're not especially giving up too soon. That's a really big piece for you there. And so, and even when it comes down to the buyer's journey as well here, think of it this way, like whether it's the DMs, whether it's a mini trading, whether it's a chat closing, like you need to build in this process to your day-to-day rhythm, right? Your day-to-day cadence, your weekly cadence. You need to have this buyer's journey ingrained. I use, some people use Whimsical. I use Miro. I have like a little visual diagram that really shows like the buyer's journey of anyone who comes into my world. And so within that, I'm pulling that up almost at least on a weekly basis, and you would think that like sometimes like I even trick myself. You would think that, hey, well, I look at it all the time. I already know this, but there's something about just it being reinforced, seeing it like this is how we're making money. This is how we're able to get clients that allows us to create impact. This is how we are, where our business is able to create enough impact that allows us to create client results that allows us to strengthen our marketing and keep this circle just spinning, right? Spinning and building up more and more energy, more fuel to allow the business to thrive. And you really should be finding yourself prioritizing and spending the majority of your time spent in the business here. In the business, focusing on this buyer's journey. Really, like I said, let it fuel your marketing and follow-up efforts heavily, right? And I'll even add a little side note here. Like I mentioned, I hinted to this before the delegation. Like if you can start to delegate to a virtual assistant, it makes a lot of this stuff that much simpler, right? Like I'm telling you, if you can really get that piece moving there, because really this model is built for delegation. When you can focus on that one thing, it makes delegating certain parts of it a lot easier. And especially if you've done it long enough, you now know where the bodies are buried, so you can now truly pass it off. And if you start hearing like excuses or whatever, you're like, no, I've done this before. And I've done this for an extended period of time. I know that this is what we're supposed to expect. When we put in X amount of inputs, these will be the outputs that we get, right? And so that can be huge. Like you set the foundation, your team fuels it. That's how we need it there, right? And this is how I've been able to take time off, be present with my daughters, and still run the business doing 40 to 50K plus months. Like you can have this for yourself if you really start to dial in the right areas, right? And then that third piece is the visibility engine, right? And really that just basically comes from you choosing one platform to show up on. Don't try to be everywhere. And really, like I even teach a system too, where it's like focusing on taking one 30-minute video and turning it into 100+ pieces of content, right? Multiple assets on this side here. If you can really start to hit this home, it can be huge for you, honestly, there, right? So keep that in mind there as well too. And if you even want that system, check in the description there. Basically, it's my 30-minute coaching system. But that can be really big for you when it comes down to like making the most out of one platform. I didn't get on another platform until I made my first ever 100K online. Right. It wasn't at that point I was just focused on one. For me, it was Facebook at the time. Right. Then eventually Instagram became a major part of the business. Right. Some other things started to grow up. Obviously, you see I'm on YouTube here recording this. Like this can be huge for you if you just focus on one thing, because then you can start to look at what leverage do I have in that one place that I can bring with me somewhere else. And that can also be critical for you inside the business too. Right. So huge. Right. So think about those 3 steps here. It can be just big for you, okay? And now what I want to do here is kind of pull it all together, pull out everything that I've talked about so far, the 3 pieces, and especially everything around the board. Really, how can you go ahead and get these results, start selling your offer like crazy with avoiding burnout, because that's going to just stall you at the gates. We need to be able to pull it all together with something I call the leverage triangle, right? And really what that is these 3 T's, right? It's time, it's team, it's tech. And if we can go ahead now and start to bolt on leverage over time, it can really allow us to just go ahead and just simplify things and get us that true freedom we're looking for at the end of the day, right? Because clarity fuels every single one of these. And this is why I literally can get more done in 10 hours than most do in 40. And it's because when you put all this together, like that's where the magic happens. I'm focused on one path and optimizing that path consistently. And I've now found out how I can go ahead and take time of making that I'm actually making something and kind of turn that into energy that I'm now able to go ahead and use over and over again. Right? I'm able to go ahead now and delegate to a team and have a certain task done over and over again while it's not me. I'm able to go ahead and have tech that I can automate people moving around my world and getting them in front of my hottest assets in order to turn them into hot leads that want to turn into high ticket clients. Work with me so that we can get results. Like, this is the kind of stuff that, like I said, this is how the magic happens. If you can really tap into these pieces, right? So, I want to leave this one big thing as well here too. Imagine having one offer, right? Just one offer. Where the DMs are lighting up for you, your VAs are setting calls, right? And you're actually closing deals while out with your kids, right? Imagine this. Like, that's exactly the kind of stuff that happened for even just for one client in particular, Nick, right? Where Nick, he finally stopped changing his funnel every 3 weeks and just focused on the system, right? Which led to him knocking out literally, I want to say it was like 16 or so K in the first 9 days of the year. Like, this is what's possible when you just buckle down on just one thing and lean all the way in with it. All right. I'm hoping this hit home for you today. Like I said, drop a value down below in the comments if it did. Hit that like button. Obviously, I mentioned this a little earlier too. If you want as well, like I said, I have my 30-minute coaching system. Honestly, it's really good. People have been loving it. Amazing feedback on it. A lot of good stuff inside of there. It's for $9, at least at the time you're recording this. Check it down below in the comments there. It'll be huge for you, especially if you're trying to really scale up the content, your visibility, and create offers that can lead to low-ticket sales and create assets, actually, that can lead to low-ticket sales that can lead to your high-ticket offers. So definitely check that out. It's down below in the description. Drop a comment if you got questions for me on this too. Like I said, let me know your niche. I'm more than happy to help out. And actually as well too with this, check out the next video that I'm going to put up here above. It's going to help to really kind of tie in the ecosystem and a lot of this kind of power of one mentality we've been talking about here that I just know will help to really kind of kick things up to the next level for you. But with all that being said, appreciate you being here today. This has been a fun one as always, and I will see you in the next video. Take care for now.